In the anxious attachment, avoidant attachment dance, the red flags, they were always there from the very beginning, but they were hidden by your brain chemistry in the infatuation stage. It's why wounded partners choose each other, and it's called repetition compulsion. Welcome back to the Secure Husband Podcast. Bruce Abbott, certified professional coach and founder of SecureHusband.com. Think back to the early days of your relationship, the infatuation stage. You're thinking to yourself, man, this feels good. We are a perfect match. We click. There's a spark there. Being with each other, it felt effortless. She was warm. She was engaged. She was affectionate, fun. You felt alive, connected. And if sex was on the table, you guys were hooked into each other. But now you're wondering why this marriage feels like you're two roommates, two people completely opposite from each other. And you chase that closeness, and she avoids it. And you want that reassurance. She wants that space. She shuts down. And you're wondering, how did we even end up together? Why would two people with opposite fears, wounds, choose each other in the first place? What's called repetition compulsion. And it is powerful. It's the reason two wounded partners are often so attracted to each other. And when you have an anxious attachment partner and an avoidant attachment partner, the red flags, they're there, but they don't look like red flags in the beginning. That's how your brain chemistry tricks you into falling in love with someone who later triggers your deepest wounds. And once you understand this, you stop blaming yourself for not seeing the red flags, for not seeing the issues sooner. You can actually see now the whole story clearly, maybe for the first time. So repetition compulsion. This was a word that I had never heard of until just a couple of years ago. Your nervous system unconsciously seeks out people who recreate the emotional climate that you grew up in. So you can try to finally earn the love that you didn't get in childhood. You don't choose her because she's the perfect match for you. You chose her because she's familiar. This is all subconscious. It's in your body. Semantically, your body says this dynamic feels familiar, feels comfortable, feels like home. Even if home was a dumpster fire, if home was unpredictable or inconsistent or painful, but your body feels it familiar. Repetition compulsion does not feel like the trauma that you really experienced at first. It feels like the spark. It feels like chemistry. It feels like connection, that overwhelming attraction. That's actually your nervous system recognizing the pattern from your childhood and running toward it, hoping this time it can get it right because it didn't before. And when the anxious attachment partner, who's completely opposite from the avoidant attachment partner, come together, they fit like puzzle pieces. Because the anxious partner fears abandonment, the avoidant partner fears engulfment. Both of these fears come from childhood. Both are wounds. Both of these shape adult relationships. But because the wounds are complementary, they create this magnetic pull that's intense. The anxious partner craves closeness, reassurance, emotional depth. The avoidant partner craves space, independence, emotional control. And it's crazy making because both partners think the other will fix something. The anxious partner thinks the avoidant partner's independence will soothe their fear. The avoidant partner thinks the anxious partner's emotional warmth will heal her numbness. But what actually happens? They trigger each other's worst fears. The anxious partner pursues. The avoidant partner withdraws. The anxious partner panics. The avoidant partner retreats even deeper. The loop feels terrible later on in the relationship, but in the beginning, it feels like fireworks, excitement. The infatuation brain chemistry masks the red flags that were there from day one of your relationship. Because in the infatuation stage, your brain is like a drug lab. Dopamine and oxytocin and serotonin and what else? Norepinephrine and vasopressin and all these brain chemicals, you basically become flooded, temporarily insane, I heard somebody call it, neurologically speaking. But the brain is elevating the good, it's ignoring the bad, and it floods you with these reward chemicals every time she touches you or smiles at you or you guys connect. And again, if sex is in the early stages of your relationship, that really just digs its hooks into you. And those brain chemicals, they exaggerate the traits that you want to see so they don't look like red flags. Her independence feels like confidence. That emotional distance, ooh, she's mysterious. The thrill of the chase, her unpredictability feels exciting. Later you realize it's not mystery, it's avoidance. It's not confidence, it's emotional self-protection. And those brain chemicals suppress your ability to see the potential problems. She avoids vulnerability. Your brain is saying, oh, she's just chill. She's inconsistent. Your brain's saying, yeah, she's got a lot going on. She's busy. She's a busy person. She's hard to read. Your brain is saying she's mysterious. Keeps things interesting. Fuels the chase. Then it makes your wound fall in love. Not your wisdom, not your wise thinking brain, but your body says, this person feels familiar. This person feels like home. This person feels like childhood. Again, this is all subconscious. This person feels like a pattern I've been trying to win my whole life. Now I get a chance. Again, you're feeling that. You're not thinking that. It's subconscious. It's your nervous system reenacting the past because the signs were always there, but you couldn't see them. Repetition compulsion. What does this look like? Take a minute, think back to the early days of your relationship during the infatuation stage. She was warm and affectionate. But if you think back, it was only on her terms. Think back to those early days when she initiated, perhaps quite a bit. But looking back, you realize that it happened when she felt safe, not when you reached out for her. That's not compatibility, that's control. That's one of those traits of the avoidant attachment partner, control. Or maybe she opened up to you, she shared things, but did she really go deep? Maybe she shared stories, but not emotions. And you mistook that openness of conversation for emotional openness of her heart. Think about some times where she pulled away occasionally. Maybe something happened, you guys had a little tiff, and she pulled away. And what did you do? You chased after her. You thought maybe that she's just not ready yet. Maybe she had a bad breakup before, bad relationship before. She's being cautious. You chased. In reality, it meant her avoidance system was activated, but you didn't see it because the thrill of the hunt was there. Sometimes you felt discomfort, but you blew it off. You just glossed right over it. You felt those little moments. Maybe it was a moment of confusion, maybe an interaction that happened, conversation, something. And you told yourself, it's no big deal. It's fine. I'm overthinking this. Those were early activation signs of your anxious attachment. Maybe you had a little jealous streak that was going on. That's your anxious attachment that was there from the very beginning. And many times, if you look back, you will see that actually in the early stages, you were the one trying harder. You tried harder than she did, but you thought you were being the romantic one, because the anxious attachment partner is always going to be seen as the romantic in the relationship. But now you see that you were already trying to earn connection. You were already performing for love. Repetition compulsion. That's why you chose each other. You didn't choose her because she was the safest person. She didn't choose you because she felt perfectly secure. You chose each other because your wounds recognized each other. Her avoidant silence activated your anxious longing for her. Your anxious pursuit activated her avoidant fear. You both felt familiar, not safe. You felt intense but not secure. You both felt like, finally, someone who fills the missing piece. This feels good. Chemistry. He's the one. She's the one. No. It was your childhood wound trying to recreate the original wound, hoping this time the ending would be different. Repetition compulsion makes wounded partners seek each other out to subconsciously try to finish the story that was never completed in childhood. Earning love, earning affection. The opposite wound just reactivates you. That's why your marriage feels so hard right now. That's why that infatuation stage felt like love. but it really was just familiarity. Because if you look back with 2020 vision and hindsight, you realize that it wasn't that she changed, wasn't that you changed, it wasn't even that your marriage fell apart. It's the infatuation stage wore off like it does with every relationship, dysfunctional or healthy. That stage will come to an end. But underneath the chemistry, the brain chemistry, were the two attachment wounds trying to duke it out. And then once the infatuation fades, your real nervous system patterns come out. And that's where the dance begins. You want more closeness, she wants more space. And then you try harder, she retreats more. You feel abandoned and rejected, she feels overwhelmed. It's childhood trauma, again, in adulthood. Your anxious attachment wants to reenact that childhood wound. If I can get her to love me fully, then maybe I'll feel worthy. Finally, this is my chance. And her avoidant attachment wants to reenact her childhood wound that if I keep distance, maybe I won't be hurt again. Both of those cycles feel instinctive, but both lead to suffering. And I've talked about that a lot through the podcast series this month. It's the loop where you chase and she avoids, and you explain, she shuts down, you react, she retreats. Repetition, compulsion. Maybe this time I can earn love. Maybe this time I won't be abandoned. Maybe this time they won't leave. You're trying to heal the childhood wounds through the adult relationships you have. You're trying to heal that inner boy inside, and that's not going to work. That's not how you heal that inner child. And the relationship will not improve until one of you changes the pattern. And if we look at this through the lens of the secure husband process, step one's awareness, where we notice, just recognize the cycle. Name it. Repetition, compulsion. Never heard of it before, but that's what it is. You stop personalizing her avoidance. You start understanding her wounds. You stop blaming yourself for chasing. That's how you choose to respond. You respond from grounded leadership and not from panic. You stop self-abandoning. You stop blaming yourself for not seeing the red flags. And you just understand that it's that little boy inside of you. This is where that deep work is so important, where you tell that little guy inside of you, hey, you are loved. You're no longer abandoned. I'm here now. You don't have to earn love. I am giving it to you unconditionally. Your wife can't heal that inner boy. Only you can. And spiritual guidance, something bigger to anchor your identity to, something consistent, unconditional, eternal, not unpredictable like your marriage is. And you dialogue with that higher power, that spiritual guidance, divine wisdom. What is my next loving action? Loving to me, loving to her. What do I do next that allows me to lead with calmness and not react, and invite closeness and respond instead of withdrawing or getting angry? And look back. Did I lead myself well? Did I stay grounded? Did I respond as a secure man? If you go through that process, that helps rewire that entire dynamic. Repetition, compulsion. The signs, the red flags, they were always there. But you weren't blind. You weren't stupid. You just missed them because you were wounded and your brain was in infatuation mode. You weren't drawn to her because she was the perfect match. You were drawn to her because she was the familiar missing piece that your childhood was looking for, that your nervous system believed could heal the old story. But healing doesn't begin when the other person changes. Healing begins when you recognize the pattern and make a choice to stop repeating it. Because we blame ourselves. We beat ourselves up. Shame. Why didn't I see the red flags? You didn't choose her because you're broken. You just chose her because you were trying unconsciously to break free from the old wound by reliving it one more time to have a chance to fix it finally, because you couldn't fix it when you were younger. You don't have to relive that anymore. You can break the repetition. You can lead yourself differently. You can heal. You just have to understand the story. Repetition, compulsion. That's your word for today. I hope you're enjoying this podcast series on attachment styles, and subscribe if you don't already. Share this podcast episode with someone who you think may need to hear this. And if you're a regular listener, would you give me a review? This attachment style series really brings out a lot of questions that I get from listeners. And if you're struggling with this, if you need some accountability, somebody to really hold you to the fire. You can't just look this stuff up on ChatGPT. You have to live it. You have to embody it. If you need help with accountability, I encourage you to reach out to securehusband.com, fill out that form for a free 30-minute consultation, just a conversation to see how I might be able to help you out. Thanks for listening. I'll see you on the next Secure Husband podcast.